Here are the methods we've learned so far to solve quadratic equations. We first started by reviewing factoring, then we looked at the root method, and finally we completed the square. Factoring is perhaps the easiest method if we can factor a quadratic equation. If we can't factor it, then we'll want to use one of these two approaches in order to get our solutions. And if none of these three methods will work, we have one last method that will always work. That method is the quadratic formula. There are some advantages and disadvantages to this method. Let's see what they are. For any equation written in this form, we can find the solutions to it by doing negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. This is our quadratic formula, and it only requires that we know the values of a, b, and c. A is the coefficient of the x squared term, b is the coefficient of the x term, and c would be the constant term. I mentioned the pros and cons for this quadratic formula. Well, the pro is that it can solve any quadratic equation, so long as we have the a, b, and c, and the left-hand side is set equal to 0. We could also have the equation in reverse. The left-hand side could be 0, and the right-hand side could be this. For the cons, it's actually very easy to make a sign error in two places. Here we need to take the negative value of b, so we have to change the sign. The other place that we might make a sign error is underneath the radical. B squared should always end up being a positive number, and then we have minus 4ac. Now, depending on the values of a and c, the second term might end up being positive, or it might stay negative. You'll want to pay close attention to how many negative signs you have here to determine this number. And finally, another drawback to the quadratic formula is that we have to simplify. We'll need to simplify this radical, and then we'll also need to simplify this fraction if we can. Sometimes this result will end up being integers, and sometimes it will end up being fractions. Keep in mind that we could get imaginary solutions if we have a negative radical here.